Inside Out 2 has come out. Good for her! I really enjoyed the movie. I give high marks to anything that can successfully trigger me. And I was wondering what redesigns I should do next for a video, and my friend Charlie suggested I redesign the emotions. To clarify, these aren't fixes, so to speak, nor exactly how I would design emotions if it was purely up to me either. I actually have my own psychology cartoon I've been workshopping, and the emotions depicted there are very different. The ethos I approached with this was, what if I was tasked to design these characters and had to follow the general style rules set out? The style rules in question basically come down to 2 points. 1, they need to be inspired by a shape of some kind, and 2, they are cartoony, but they're still human. Like this concept art for 2, with anxiety was going to be turned into this like big old Godzilla monster and stuff. That would be really cool, but that doesn't quite fit in with the other emotions. That's what I mean, that's a little too out there. I approach all these redesign videos as if it was a job I was tasked to do. Chances are I probably won't be doing that in the future, mostly because it just doesn't make for a very interesting video. Now, when I start these redesigns, I typically look at the concept art to get ideas. I really like what they made. It either has this very dreamy storybook art style, or it's reminiscent of the UPA look. So I decided to lean more into the inspiration with a focus on these flat and distinctive shapes with very cartoon exaggerations. I started with Disgust because I felt there was an obvious direction to take her that they just didn't do for some reason. See, she's meant to resemble broccoli. And it annoys me that with this inspiration, you just didn't give her big old curly hair. It was right there. You can see in the concept art they had some curly hair, but they just didn't go through with it. I don't know why. I didn't know at first what shape to go in for the curly hair, but eventually I went with the heart for it. Basically, I just stole it from my character Phoebe. There was a lot I wanted to incorporate into Disgust design from the concept art. The big, fashionable sunglasses, the scarf that reminds me of Daphne from Scooby-Doo, the circular belt buckle, it all reminded me of 70s fashion. Something I also loved in the concept art was the pink and white, a great color combo. However, that's not really complementary to the main color being green. Now, I could have just given her a light green skin tone, but that would be effectively green and red. And she is neither Christmas nor Mario and Luigi, so we can't do that. As such, it was better to just stick to the original colors of purple and green. I originally wanted to give her freckles, but the design was getting a bit cluttered by this point. It would likely work in a 3D space that the movies have, but it doesn't look all that great with the 2D art. 2D art, especially more cartoony ones like this, have to be a bit more limited. For a cartoon art style, the bodies are typically thinner and heads and eyes are bigger. Because of that, there's less space to work with, compared to a more realistic art style or anime-esque one. You can do more there because there's just simply more wiggle room. It's like how it would be easier to put a king-size mattress into an actual bedroom compared to put it in a closet. Also, near the end, I end up adjusting her open-mouthed bleh expression to a disapproving grimace. Which is a shame. I've really come to appreciate the character's imperfect teeth. Disgust in particular having buck teeth. I like how with this, and also embarrassment, the movies take these features that would be considered ugly or off-putting and made them endearing. All that was left was to play around with the colors. I'm conflicted on the white boots as I don't want to draw the eye to that instead of the face, but overall it works. Something I want to mention is that I really enjoy how these movies show the purpose of negative emotions. They're unpleasant, yes, but necessary for healthy development, even though that negative emotions, quote unquote, are still positive because of their functionality. Disgust is a fantastic way of showcasing this. In any other movie or show, having the arrogant, judgmental, and sarcastic fashionista that's the embodiment of disgust would have been an antagonist, but here she's a good guy, and she's one of the most enjoyable characters on screen because of all those traits. I just saved our lives. Yeah, you're welcome. This is a brilliant change from earlier concept art where she was just this weird little monster. I love this, don't get me wrong, but this fashionista personality and look is a much better way of showcasing Disgust's positive side, which is why I wanted to keep it in the redesign. Apparently I forgot to record the initial sketches of Envy. Oops. But yeah, I drew her next. She's next because, much like Disgust, I felt like her shape was not well represented in the movie itself. Her shape is meant to be a mushroom, so I figured it'd be best to give her a big hat. Initially, we're just gonna go the roots of Toad, but... So after racking my brain for a bit, I realized that Ushanka was a fun direction to take. But I did keep some elements from Toad, as I made the patches in her cap look similar to the spot placements of his... head? Hat? Exposed brain? However, upon doing this and adding the little dangles, her silhouette looked more like a jellyfish. Oh well, I'm married to her now, and I can't afford a divorce lawyer. Teal feels like a smart choice for a main color. She can't be green with Envy because it's too close to Disgust. However, I still think that Teal should have leaned more towards green than it does blue in the original thing. I kinda like the idea that Envy looks up Disgust and wants to be just like her. So with that, Envy's outfit and colors are very similar to Disgust, but just a bit off. Like she doesn't quite get it, even though she really wants to. She has gloves and boots, but they're much smaller compared to Disgust. She has purple in her design, but it's much more faded one. The patches in her Ushanka have obvious stitching, like she handmade it. Ushanka is big like a discussed afro, but doesn't have the same shape or care as the afro does. Much like her stature, she always falls just a bit short. Even the freckles were meant to resemble disgust, as she originally had that all across her face, whereas Envy only had a few on her cheeks. However, since I got rid of her freckles, it ended up being something unique for Envy to have. Maybe you can read it as, you can look up to others, but you always have something that others don't, even if you don't notice it. By the way, did you notice how Envy in the movie has 4 fingers, but everyone else has 5? Apparently that was decided to represent the feeling of missing something. I just thought that was interesting. Nothing left to say. She is baby and gets hip pats. Joy, ironically, did not give me joy to work on. She has a star shape, but she still needs to be somewhat human-esque. And the concept art didn't help much either, as it was already close to her final design. So I had trouble with the pose, trouble with the hair, the proportions, everything! I think a more normal, human look works for Disgust, as she's meant to reflect taste and fashion. Joy, however, can and should be more cartoony. It fits her character better. At first I thought maybe I could give her a face in the center of her star, but one part of the concept art I really enjoyed was her overalls. I think overalls is something that you can frequently associate with childhood, and that fits like her more childlike outlook and energy. I also like how she's barefoot. I didn't mean, it's not, what I meant is that when I was a kid, I loved playing in the backyard barefoot, okay? So her not wearing socks or shoes is like being carefree and a little reckless, and that also anyway. I was just gonna keep it as overalls and no shirt, but eventually came back to put a shirt underneath. Despite the character's youthful energy, all the emotions embody a parental, guardian-like role, and it was important to not lose that in the design. As cute as the eyelashes were, it doesn't work with the giant eyes. Also, I had to axe the friendship bracelets that signified the other emotions. Friendship didn't fail me, I failed friendship! The second movie significantly improved on the female character design, embracing the more cartoony looks. I tried to do that with Joy, and I'm pretty sure I failed, but I did keep the shape language I wanted to do to some extent. Her arms and legs start off big, then go small like a star's body, and the overall body is more bottom-heavy than the official one. Insert Pixar mom joke here. I debated slimming down her face, but that didn't work well with the big facial features. It was better to just give her a lollipop head. When I went back to do another pass because I felt the first redesign was too similar, I also got rid of the bangs and gave her a Mickey Mouse Whittlespeak. Easier to read and animate. So I just want to take a moment to express some thoughts I had regarding the emotions, characterizations, and also the films as a whole. One criticism I see fairly often is that the second film has a very similar structure to the first film, and I noticed it, but also I don't care. I still think it's a good movie outside of that. Similar, yes, but still expands on the themes and characterization from the first film, so I really don't see much of an issue. Besides, if we start criticizing Inside Out 2 for being too similar to 1, then we need to start criticizing Toy Story 3 and 4 for being too similar to 2. Another thing I want to bring up is a question everyone had upon the trailer was, what's the difference between anxiety and fear? The movie answers it by explaining that anxiety is planning for the future, whereas fear deals with current scares. I think that mentality also applies to all the new emotions, well except for nostalgia, but not counter. The main way I would distinguish the differences between the two sets is that the core 5 is reactive and the new additions are proactive. Both Envy and Disgust are designed to demonstrate taste, but Envy actively pursues a goal, whereas Disgust waits for something to happen. Because even if Disgust wants something, she is not someone who actively pursues it.
We want to be friends with them. Let's go talk to them. Are you kidding? We're not talking to them. We want them to like us. Oh, yeah. Wait, what?
Fear in the same scene is tasked with recognizing any danger but doesn't act upon it, instead deferring the action to Joy when something comes up.
Let's finish with the potential disasters. Worst scenario is either quicksand, spontaneous combustion, or getting called on by the teacher. So as long as none of those happen...
Okay, everybody, we have a new student in class today.
Are you kidding me? Out of the gate? Pretend we can't speak English?
Don't worry, I got this.
Anxiety, on the flip side, is both aware of the dangers and makes plans for them, and often overplans. There's not a direct parallel between sadness and embarrassment I can make here, but in a scenario about ridicule from peers, sadness would accept it and feel bad, embarrassment would try to stop whatever it is that's causing the ridicule. Ennui is the only exception to this, which makes sense. Ennui is ironic attachment, and that's a defense mechanism, but I'll elaborate more on that when we get to her. That being said, I do think the new emotions are kinda superfluous. You could remove envy and embarrassment from the story and add their facets to Anxiety's character. Anxiety plays a very important role in the film, and ennui is a different enough emotion that she can stay. Fear and anxiety were drawn at the same time together due to their similar zigzagging inspirations. Fear being based on a raw nerve and anxiety on electricity. Fear was really quick to draw. I found these textbook illustrations of nerves online, so I basically just yoinked that. I also took Sadness's turtleneck so it would cover up his mouth, but resembled gritted teeth. I did toy with the idea of giving him multiple limbs, but that is a little too monstrous for this lineup. Something you may notice when I'm sketching out characters is that I like to change their poses up, especially in reference art like model sheets. Animators and artists need to know all the details of the outfit. That is why so many character sheets have very basic poses. And I needed to do that here so his outfit wasn't being obstructed by his arms. At one point I gave Anxiety a noodle-like appearance, but it almost made Fear and Anxiety look like siblings, and we should not do that. In the movie, Anxiety's hair is just like this weird ponytail. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, update from future AJ. I figured out what it was. It's meant to look like a bundle of optical fibers. Optical fibers are a material used to transmit light, electricity, and information, such as internet communication. Oh my god, that's so smart! I'll take it all back. This is peak female character design. Anxiety's face is just perfect. I can't change it. Big eyes but tiny pupils and irises to denote fear. A Muppet Fraggle Rock mouth that scrunches up in a wavy line to show an anxious smile. I tried to give her ears to make her look more like a goblin, but none of the other characters had ears, so that was out. Which meant all I could really focus on was the outfit. Fashion gets overlooked sometimes in character designs, especially men's fashion because most of it in real life is boring. But clothes can show just as much character as shape language, poses, or color schemes do. So I was thinking, okay, what fits with her dorky demeanor? Her whole thing is planning for the future. She's an organizer. She's an organizer. She should be a stressed out business lady. An aspect I like about Riley's parents is that Jill's head emotion, waka waka, is sadness and Bill's is anger. Jill wears glasses and Bill wears a tie. So Riley's sadness and anger have the same clothing items. So I borrowed from the parents to complete the look, in particular Bill's business casual appearance and Jill's glasses. I originally wanted Anxiety as this light electric blue, but upon the final lineup I realized there were too many cool colors already, so she had to go back to orange. Same with Fear, who I wanted to be a more warm orange because of the nerve illustrations, but that doesn't really fit the feeling of Fear, does it? And orange as a color can be closer to the yellow of electricity, so it just fit to Anxiety more. With Sadness, I really wanted to do something with the teardrop shape, but I was struggling to come up with how to incorporate that and not look too human. Eventually I realized I didn't need the head to be the most defining thing here, like it is with everyone else. In fact, her face could be more obscured and closed off, which allowed me to have more fun with this long ocean wave hair. I really enjoyed her rounded triangle body with the pajamas and her concept art. It kind of reminds me of Dogen from Psychonauts. I got the jammies, but instead of a two-piece, it's a nightgown. I imagine she's always tripping over it and just doesn't bother getting back up. Despite the fact that she was one of the more difficult ones to make, there's not a lot to say here. Just, look at her. What an idiot. That's so mean to Sadness. What did she do? Anger is based on a brick. He looks like a brick. So next we had Ennui. Nah, I did do something. I considered the idea of a wick, and my friend Jem said that reminded her of Bob-Omb from Mario. I love that idea, and I really want to make him a bomb, and I don't remember why I changed it. I think because a bomb is round, but Anger is squarely square. I did keep the fuse, but with the blocky build, it looks more like a candle at this point. Oh well, imagine he's one of those square bombs from Breath of the Wild or something. One thing I learned in my experiences with therapy is that anger is described as a secondary emotion, functioning as a shield to protect you from another emotion you're actually feeling, usually scared or sad. I wanted to have an allusion to that in his redesign. So his shirt is a light blue and his pants are a washed out purple, indicating that he's a shield to those emotions. I flirted with the ideas of making him look like charcoal or give him a cylindrical shape like a fire starter, but in the end I settled on what made him work in the first place, with some minor adjustments like the slight yellow in the eyes and teeth to make him stand out more. Aside of that, he is rocking that SpongeBob drip, so I can't really change much more. With Ennui, I did nothing! She's meant to be a limp noodle who doesn't care about anything, and she looks exactly like that. Her sweatshirt, the sweatpants, the long socks that are saggy because she doesn't care to fix it. It's just mwah, mwah, chef's kiss. What do you want me to do here, huh? You want me to repaint the Sistine Chapel too while I'm at it? This is peak character design. I know I said about anxiety, I don't care. The changes I made were rather subtle, her color palette being a bit more muted, her hair more unkempt, and her nose being pointed down rather than straight out. The hair was accentuated by some color streaks to indicate she does have some interest. While I love the concept art of her just being this little bug dude, it really doesn't fit with anyone else. I did keep the sunglasses though, like she's too cool to even take them off. Side note, I really like how the second movie doesn't mock teenagers for being sarcastic, but actually shows the necessity of it. Like I was saying earlier, her role is to protect Riley from social judgment. And you never see sarcasm or detachment in a positive light like this, especially from teenagers, and especially from teenage girls. So many shows are just mean to teenage girls, including Pixar. Between these movies and Turning Red, it seems that's changing, if only slightly. For embarrassment, something I really appreciate with them compared to their concept art is that it didn't keep any of the stereotypical embarrassing features. You know, zits, braces, stuff teenagers going through that they may be insecure about. In the actual movie, embarrassment's role is to stop Riley from doing things that get her judged, and likewise socially threatened. But stuff like acne and braces are out of your control, so it's nothing to be embarrassed over. But it does allude to them without it literally just being that, such as the giant pink nose that could be reminiscent of a giant zit on someone's face. I gave him droopy bangs and this cute little beanie, so he looks more obscured and hidden. But I didn't want it to just be the hat for whatever reason, so I put in a little pin that looks like a blushing emoji. The outfit was difficult to work with. The inconspicuous hoodie hiding his face is already good. So to replace it, I tried to think of an embarrassing item of clothing, which led me to think about ugly Christmas sweaters, and that was perfect. However, because of this, I accidentally gave 3 of the 4 new emotions winter clothes. Oops. I found this fan character design of Love by One Bad Noodle on Tumblr, where his scarf we could hang it up with the other emotions. Going off that, I wanted Embarrassment's colors on the garnish sweater to be of the other emotions. Also, I like the movement shape of the little guy, so I tried to incorporate that into this design. I expect my cease and desist letter any day now, but joke's on you because you'll never catch me alive! But AJ, isn't that just Riley's colored sweaters from the first movie? Yes it is, but have you considered to like, comment, and subscribe? And with that, we've reached the end. Look at these guys. What did you think? Did you love them? Did you hate them? Were you violently neutral? Let me know. If you want to see more redesign videos like this in the future, go support my Patreon. I can even do commissions for you through that, if you like. And thank you to Charlie, who's my script editor for the video. Is incredibly talented, funny, enjoys long walks on the beach, and has a huge I'm not saying that. If you have any ideas of what I should do for the next redesign video, comment down below. Until then, bye!